Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm going to look at a brand new game that just successfully completed backing on Backerkit and is now accepting late pledges, which is Moonrollers. This is a new one from Ivy Studio. It is a 2 to 5 player game that takes roughly half an hour to 45 minutes to play, and is a competitive push your luck dice roller. So in this one, you are trying to have the most prestige in the game. You're going to do that by unlocking different requirements on crew members, which will potentially gain you those crew members, which you'll then have special abilities you'll be able to use throughout the rest of the game. Depending upon the requirements you complete, you also might gain special hazard tokens, which will get you additional prestige at the end of the game under certain conditions. So the game is going to continue going until one player is able to trigger the end of the game, which is either having one player collect all 5 of the different factions, or one player that has 3 cards from the same faction. At that point, the game will be over, and the players will determine who has the most prestige points and is the winner of the game. So in this video, I'm going to take you through showing you some of the main features of the game, and then a sample turn to give you a better idea on how this one plays, and whether or not this is one you'd like to add to your collection. As always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we continue to grow and be able to produce this content. If you want to get notified anytime I drop new videos, also give that notification bell a ring, and that'll let you know whenever I drop new stuff. As always, in these videos, all the materials you see here are prototype materials and are subject to change and look a lot better in the final production copy of the game. So let's go ahead and head to the table, and we'll see what this one's all about. Moonrollers is going to contain one custom set of 12 6-sided dice. Each die is going to contain the 6 different images on each of its sides, and these images are thruster, reactor, shield, damage, extra die, and wilds, and these can be spent for requirements to recruit different crew members and to trigger special abilities, which I'll cover a little bit more later in the video. Throughout the game, players are trying to collect crew members, and the game is going to end when one player collects all 5 of the different colored crew members, or 3 of the crew members of a single color. At that point, then you'll total up the points, and whoever has the most prestige will be the winner. So from there, let's go ahead and break down the crew member cards. So each crew member card is going to have its faction icon and the name of that crew member at the top, a small icon up in the top corner just to remind you of the basics of what that crew member's ability might be. Then the different requirements to unlock that crew member. And each one is going to have the different symbols on it, along with the number of dice you must lock of that symbol in order to complete that requirement. Some of them will have the little hazard symbol on top, so when you complete that requirement, for example with this particular crew member, when I lock 4 of the thruster dice up there, then I'm going to be able to collect 2 hazard tokens, choose one, and discard the other. Once all 4 of these different icons have been locked, and this crew member is going to be complete at that point, at which point whichever player completed the card is going to get to collect that crew member, and then that crew member will grant that player an ability at the bottom of the card that will remain in play for the rest of the game. On top of that, each player that has contributed to completing this crew member will receive prestige points based on which of the different requirements those players or player unlocked. And I'll go into more detail about that later. There will be certain times throughout the game that players are going to be collecting hazard tokens, and at the end of the game, these are going to be worth additional prestige points, except for the player that has the most hazard symbols on all of their tokens combined, or players if there's a tie. And there's going to be 3 different values in this. You'll have 1-point tokens, 2-point tokens with 1 hazard symbol, and 5-point tokens with 2 hazard symbols. And the final thing I want to do is take you through a sample turn explaining how a player's turn operates and show you a couple example turns to give you a better idea how this one plays. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and take you through the blue player's turn. So each player's turn consists of 4 steps that are going to be done in order. The first one is to gather and roll 5 dice. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. And once I've done that, then I'm going to see what crew member I want to work on. I'm going to select one of the crew members that are out there, and with that, I have, I have a thruster, I have a damage, I have a reactor, I have a wild, and I have an extra die. So a pretty good assortment of different things here. So I definitely don't want to work on this one because I really don't, well, I could do it with the wild. So I could potentially do that, but I think instead I'm going to go ahead and work on this purple card here. So once I've selected a crew member, I'm going to choose one of the different requirements that I have a symbol that I want to work on. So let's go ahead and say that I want to work on this one, or this on the thrusters first. So in order to do that, I'm going to place one of my cubes above that requirement, marking that that's the one I'm working on, and I'm going to lock at least one die of that symbol. So I need to lock at least one thruster. If I have additional thrusters or wilds, I could choose to lock those and complete that right away, but I want to try to push my luck and see if I can get some additional stuff. So from there, then, if I roll any of the extra dice, I get one extra die per one of those that I rolled. So with that, I will get one extra. And then at that point, now I can choose to either continue rolling, trying to complete that requirement, or I can stop. Obviously, I don't want to stop here, as I would lose any progress that I've made so far on that until I've completed it. So let's go ahead and roll these again and see if I can get another thruster or wilds. And I did terribly on this one. So in this situation, I would lose that. But let's go ahead and say, just for this example, that I was able to get another thruster. So at this point, I would go ahead and lock that in place. That is going to complete that requirement. So I'm going to go ahead and slide my cube down. And with that being a hazard requirement, or a hazard area, then I get to immediately gain 2 hazard tokens. I'm going to secretly look at these myself and choose one of them. They're both 5, so I guess I'm going to keep a 5. And the other one's going to be returned to the supply and then reshuffled up. At this point, again, I have a choice to make. I can either stop here, or I can choose another requirement to try to work on. And again, I would have to lock a die of that type. So let's go ahead. How do I feel about this? So if I push on and I fail here, I would lose all of the ones that I've worked on this turn, including the ones that I've locked. I wouldn't lose the hazard token, as that is gained immediately, but so I think I'm going to hold there and stop. So at this point, the blue player's turn is done, as I've been able to lock that symbol. That will help me out later on, as I will get points once that card is complete. So from there, it's going to move over to the purple player to go. And so with the purple player, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So again, I'm going to roll my 5 dice and see what I get there. All right, so purple did not too bad. And purple has an ability, may treat the extra die as a wild. So that could be interesting. Now with that, that would not grant, if I use that ability on my card, that would negate the extra die, so I don't get the extra die and to use that ability. So I think with that, that might be a good one to go ahead and pop. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to work on this blue card here. And I'm going to go ahead and use the ability for that. So I'm going to work on that one, and I'm going to go ahead and just unlock that right away with that. So that'll complete that right off the bat. So at this point, I can choose to push on, which, the other ones are a 3, 3, and 4, so I'd have to pick up some extra dice here pretty quick. But my odds, I'm still at least 66% for rolling at least one of those symbols. But does that really help me? I don't think so. I think we're going to hold there, and that player's turn. So it's going to kick back over to the blue player to go. So blue, again, is going to go ahead and roll. And pretty good this time. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the blue reactors. So I'm going to place one above that. I'm going to get 2 additional dice for those. Now again, with that, I could actually complete that right away, as well as I can use the extra die as 2 reactors. But again, then I wouldn't benefit from those. So I think I'm going to go ahead and gain the extra dice this time and see how if that pays off or not. And I have to lock one. So I'm going to go ahead and use that as the ability, so that's going to count as 2 reactors instead, and that will allow me to continue rolling, as I can only work on 1 requirement at a time. So even though I had some shields, I cannot use those at this point because I'm working on the reactors. All right, so I got my final reactor that I needed, so that will give me the 4 to complete that one. And then at this point, I could choose to continue on or hold there. And I also can only work on 1 crew member at a time. So even though I might have other dice that would work on another crew member, I cannot at this point, as I've already committed to this crew member. So at this point, I can either choose to hold there, or I can push on and see if I can unlock one of these other 2 abilities. So I think for this example, let's go ahead and push on and see if I can do this. All right, so I've got, well, I don't have a lot of choices here. I have to go after the damage, so I'm going to go ahead and lock that. And go ahead and roll again. So I need 2 more damage to complete this one. And I got 3 shields. Ah. What a shame. Okay, so at that point, that means I'm going to lose my progress on that, and I also lose the progress that I had made on that, as I was a little too greedy and moved on. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it there. I hope this gives you a good idea how this game plays and helps you decide on whether or not this is one you want to back on Backerkit. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the main page and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, I'll see you later.